So welcome, Marc McDermott. Thank you very much for joining us today. It's lovely to see you. And you are presenting at the NLP conference this year. Your topic, which is one that excites me, is Milton patterns as the gateway to quantum consciousness, the human interactive system. Now, I love Milton patterns. I'm not sure I'm going to understand the quantum consciousness. So do tell me more about you, yourself, and your presentation.
Sure. Any 6-year-old child can understand what I actually say. So not that I'm saying that a 6-year-old child, anyone can understand, because language is something that we do all the time. We've been doing it for a long time, and we're actually quite good at it. And really, this whole journey for me has kind of multiple starts, but one of the main starts was that people kept saying to me that it was who I was and what I did that made the difference for them. And at first I fought back against that and thought, well, I know all this complicated stuff, you just don't understand. And then I got over that kind of ego trip, and I thought, well, if that's the truth, and people are coming and going and they're satisfied and I'm getting results, and if they're saying that it's who I am that makes a difference, then I need to look at that more, and I need to think about that more, and I need to develop myself more. Maybe we are in some ways like I don't know, a beacon that other people can take a fix off or something like that, and therefore it needs to be consistent and solid and have a level of continuity. And so I've spent a lot of time doing that and studying various esoteric principles as well, and I've been studying Aikido, martial art, for I don't know, 38 years or something like that as well, which I teach. And it's all these things have something in common, which is that we learn a form, but is that what we're left with? Right. Do we just, is that it? We learn a form and that's it? Or is the point of the form to get free of the form? Oh. And if you, then there's the platform from which you jumped. So you need to know the platform from which you jumped in case you lose your way. And that's the kind of basis for me of the structural aspect of Miltonian language, and the beautiful gift which I fervently believe that people need to spend more time getting to know and get free from, rather than what often happens when I'm training people is they get to the language section, and it's our middle word, isn't it? Linguistic. And we get to the linguistic bit, and they've had the nice rapport bit, and everyone's nice and everything. And then we get to right, well, let's look at scope ambiguity and some violation, and they all and run away, And then we get past the language section, and they're like, oh, thank God for that. It's like, well, no, hang on a second, and then we get to the hypnosis part of stuff, because I teach hypnosis as well. And of course, it's going to be Milton. Even if I teach other styles of hypnosis at Master Prac, it's Milton, and you need to know your Milton. Well, we did that on day 2. so you thought it was going away, and of course, it comes back in Master Prac, and it comes back in Trainer, and it carries on into Master Trainer, and so on. Mm. So for me, I've decided to help people to get past that thing of, oh my God, what do all these? It's complicated. And when I was at the conference, it must be 3 years ago, maybe now, I often heard people saying things like, oh, Milton is definitely the thing, but it's just too complicated, and I can't. And I thought, it's not complicated. There's a difference when you become aware of the language patterns rather than study the language patterns. I could tell you all about playing the piano massively, but I can't play the piano. So as soon as I can tell you all about it, the Phrygian and Mixolydian modes and all the rest of it, but I can't play the piano. Right. So to me, there's the structure of language itself, the actual structure of the language, and the structure of your experience. Yeah. They're the same thing. Yes. They're absolutely the same thing in the moment when you're expressing. Not half an hour later, that's different. That's a reported incident of language. But in the moment that it comes, that's where it's at. And it's the same for me as playing music. So I've been playing music all my life. I toured once with an African band where I didn't speak any of their languages and they didn't speak English.
Right.
But we all spoke music.
Yeah.
And there was a universal kind of, we are coming from the same place, experiencing before the music even was emerging. And to me, that's exactly the same with language. It's exactly the same. In fact, I was at trainers training with Tad James' company last year. It was all online, of course. And at one point, I encouraged a guy from, I think it was Malaysia, if I remember, to do his hypnosis induction in his own language. And when it came to doing a stage show part at the end of it, that's the bit where I said for the interpreter to come in and actually say what the instructions were that they were being given for the stage show. But all the induction part he did in his own language. Now, the most remarkable thing about that for me was that when it got to the part where he suggested that people engaged in automatic movement, two of the people in the room, and they did it, and yet they don't speak his language at all.
Yeah.
Completely mind-blowing. So I can't say that will happen all the time, but to me it was just one of those little moments that say that there's something deeper. And of course we all make sound, and there's a certain amount of sound that's similar across the world. I've experienced in the trainings with people all over the world that if they are confused, then they might go, huh? Whereas if they get it, they're like, oh. If it's brand new, it's like, and so on and so forth. So there's sounds that, and these are the sounds people make in between the words, and I find them interesting.
Right.
And then in order to get to the place where I want people to get to, which is to move backwards away from everyday interaction language, boring humdrum, whatever, not paying attention, in other words, to there's all the language patterns of Milton, and there's what, 23 of them or something. Yeah. So it doesn't take long to, if you took one a day, in a month you've done them all.
Yeah.
And if you only look for universal quantification for a day, it's everywhere, and everyone's saying it all the time, etc., etc., etc. And you move on to the next one. It doesn't take long. Same as playing an instrument. You practice for an hour a day, you get somewhere.
Yeah.
So, but then if you're just stuck with that, then what people end up doing, in my experience, is playing with that as a concept. So, it's tag questions. We can all do that, can't we? Hey, yeah, but what does that do?
Yeah.
And again, when you move back from that, then behind that, it starts to get interesting for me, because there's a process. Milton was a genius, absolute, utter genius. He took things like what Korzybski was talking about, in my opinion, the map is not the territory. We all know that one, the language is not the thing, the word water doesn't get you wet, and so on. So the language itself is just language. And Milton managed to do what Korzybski said would happen. He started to categorize and say, look, here it is. Yeah. Here's a pattern. Let's become aware of this, because this is super cool. And it's like a gateway into people's mind, and everyone's talking, so they can't, the only way out of that is to not talk, because if you talk, you're revealing the patterns, and you can't possibly talk without them. Yeah. So if you stop looking at the words themselves, they're important to get to know it, but then you move before that to the experience which led to those words forming. You start to get the process of what was being described by the word pattern. Yeah. The process itself instead of the thing, and it starts to become a living thing, because any 6-year-old child is doing it. They haven't learned the big words, but they do know it, this, that, the, and so on and so forth, and so they are quite capable of adjusting and controlling their universe within their power base with what they've got, and they're very, very good at it. So but then behind that, for me, is where it's coming from, where the emergence, the observer viewpoint. So
that's a good word, emergence.
This is a pen, and for the sake of argument, we could say that we're observing the pen.
Yes.
And crazily enough, therefore, we are not the pen.
Yes.
But if you're observing the thought, then you're not actually the thought as such. It's passing through you,
yes,
and you don't have to attach to it.
yeah,
It's the result of old programming, just tumbleweed passing through. But this is a massive concept that if someone can get into the place where they understand that they are emerging and that language is coming, just like the music was with that African band, in between the last click of the drummers counting and the first music emerging, we were already there. And it was already happening. The music just hadn't followed through afterwards. Right. It's the same with language. As soon as someone is going to speak, they commit to that action, and it's already happening, and then language emerges. And let's face it, I have no idea how I speak. No. No idea. How do you do it? No idea. I've no idea how I put meaning into that sound and that you extract that meaning. Yeah. I mean, the whole process is the unconscious. It's the most amazing, incredible, loving, supportive being that I've ever met. Yeah. And I want people to have a direct experience of that for themselves. So it's not an intellectual talk, how to play the piano, but it actually becomes something that when someone's had a direct experience for themselves, that's it. They have the experience and no one can tell them that they haven't had it. So that's the thing that I get really super excited about when I do that with my own students and bring them towards.
Is that what delegates are going to take away from your session then, that actual experience of what you're talking about?
It's absolutely my intention that if someone wants to join me in the experience, and then let's explore the experience together for a while, right, then I'm quite happy to be a bit of a tour guide. Okay. And then people can take it away, and there's no way, once you've rung the bell, you can't unring it. So once you become aware of something, that's it, you're aware of it, you've expanded. Yes. And then you fill in the blanks later on. Yeah. Yeah. You know, when I first learned Milton, I was learning Milton, it was all complicated, and then I realized that on the front page of the manual, it was a Richard Bandler manual, and on the front page there was a clear perspex page with "It is not what you think" written on it. Right. And it's something just went, it is what I think. Okay. And so what is it? What is it? And that led me down quite a rabbit hole, really. Yeah, I was going to say. Language, everyone speaks structurally, because it wouldn't make sense if you didn't. Yeah. So everyone, including people who have extreme medical or mental issues, unless they've completely lost the plot and it's random words coming out, which is still probably has a pattern, if I'm really honest, but nevertheless, they're making sense, and there's a structure and there's a process. Yeah. And when you adjust the structure of your current experience linguistically to the structure of the preferred or future present moment that you wish to create, then you start to head towards it. Right. Okay. So is there anything that delegates can do beforehand to give them a deeper experience during your session? Yeah, absolutely. I think that without worrying about it or anything like that, I think having a look at those 20 odd patterns beforehand, just a brush, I mean, I will make it absolutely clear anyway, but if you can go through those things and go, okay, tag questions, put question on the end of the sentence, isn't it? That's it. And just not to be, you know, intimidated in any way by the names of the patterns, because it doesn't matter. The 6-year-old child does not care at all what a conversational postulate is. They do not care, you know, but they can understand the idea that if I said, could you open your mind to learning something new, then they can follow that instruction without knowing what the name of that instruction was. Yeah. See what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. It's actually so simple. It's so simple. And then come with curiosity and definitely a sense of humor. If anyone hasn't got a sense of humor and they contact me, I'll give them a free session so that they can acquire one very quickly. Wonderful. So how are you? Sorry. No, just because it's simple. It's simple. So if you're looking for complicated in me, you're looking in the wrong place. Right. Okay.
So how are you planning on adding value in a virtual environment, which we are virtual again this year? So
Yeah, and this was, funnily enough, when the change was made to go online, I was tempted to have a thought and to attach to the thought of, oh no, this is meant to be a live and direct experience with you in the room with me, like a musician and an audience. And then I basically did a run with 3 of my advanced students, and we literally set it up online and did it online. And I went through the process to see how they would get it or not. They had no idea what they were going to get, but they were trusting and up for it. So then they got the experience, and it's actually changed them as a result. Wow. And then I had a client in Australia, because of course one of the things that are going online in the last 2 years is that it actually expanded me in ways that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And she became aware of the way that I was using language behind what I was saying,
right.
and named it. So she's a trainer of NLP, so she has some back.
Yeah.
But she spotted that something was going on, and named it and asked, "What's that?" Because I'm particularly interested in what's going on there.
Okay.
And so I explained to her how my ideas work and how it is that I do what I do. And she said that she would want to go for it. And I'd never, ever done it with someone from scratch that I haven't trained and took them to the place where they become aware of it. Right. But she expressed the idea of wanting to. So we did. And she's completely revolutionized her life.
Wow.
Because once you know the pattern, it's everywhere. And once you know how to experience with somebody else, why would you not?
Yeah. And like you say, once you know it, you can't unknow it, can you? So
no, and that's the beauty of it. So obviously you could tap it back into the unconscious, and get the unconscious competence, which is great, because our unconscious mind, say, the most loving, supportive being I've ever met, and so is everyone else's. So if you can help it to become aware of the patterns, and that language is not random anymore, it's actually it's creating the reality that we're experiencing. If you have a memory, even it's not stored on a hard drive, is it? You actually construct that reality as you remember it. So reality is completely constructed, and I can show people, I can definitely demonstrate to people how you're not experiencing the outside directly. You're only experiencing the inside, including the picture that you're looking at. It's completely made up, because you can rub it out, and you can't rub out the outside. But with a small hand mirror, you can rub the outside out. So it's clearly clear. It's called the Cheshire Cat illusion, because what the brain hangs onto the eyes and the mouth for information so much that it's usually the last bit to go. So cut off a pair of eyes and a mouth hanging in the air. It's totally bizarre, but it shows how what you're experiencing is actually the picture that's constructed inside.
Yes,
and
not what's actually there.
It's the same for all the rest of it. So once we can jump past that and go, oh, okay, well, it's all on me then, isn't it? My reality is all on me. It's completely me, and it's entirely mine until I'm gone, which no matter how long it is, it's not going to be long enough, frankly, but it'll be what I get. And so I'm going to spend the rest of my life experiencing myself and getting to know myself more, and being curious about my world around me, and growing and developing, because that's what we all do. We're trainers, or practitioners, or master practitioners, master trainers, some of us, but we're all involved in this professional field. And I am absolutely determined to do 2 things while I'm alive. One is to make this field more professional and accountable and precise, and to find the new rather than repeat the old. And the most powerful hypnosis or Milton patterns haven't been defined yet. It's not all over. Right. It's coming, and new stuff is coming and should come, and everyone should develop their own style, not be poor versions of someone else's style. And that can, the Latin for education is educare, means one meaning is to draw out from. So that's what I want people to do. I want them all to become who they are and to live the life they're meant to live, become aware of their own limitation in programming by hearing it come out in the structure of whatever they're talking about. Yeah, so not looking just at clients, but how do they experience themselves?
Yeah.
And inside that 4-minute loop that we have to our unconscious minds to redirect and change and make decisions about the thought processes that we become aware of, so that we can grow and change, because that is the feedback key, and that's the key in to ourselves and to everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So as you said, Mark, you've been to the conference before, and so what does the NLP International Conference mean to you?
Engagement, education, expansion. Where else do you get to speak with your peers and get to know other people in the field and get, where else can, it's like a grassroots thing. I think it's amazing. Where else can you go and gather with all the best people in the world and just, you can walk up to anyone and talk to them, If you don't like you, there's other people. It doesn't matter. I'm joking. But it's a boiling pot of information flow and just wonderful people with so many different personal styles of expression and different interests and so many ways to look at things. I remember, speaking with some of the delegates and just being completely blown away by what they're talking about. And it made me go away and spend the next half a year unpacking it. That is an incredible experience, and I think that it's so important for all of us to gather if we're serious about what we do and we're not just in it for the, the money. I think, well, what am I doing here? I'm earning money. What's that about?
Yeah.
Why am I here? And why am I really here? They're the big questions, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if I come from a perceptionist projection kind of viewpoint, as I've said, I'm only experiencing my own responses anyway on some level, then people like yourself, even at this moment, are a reflection of me. It's part of my perception. I'm creating this experience. Yeah. And so that exists in every person that I'm talking with. And so I can go and find anyone, everyone, talk to them, share openly. There's no hidden thing with me. It's not like, oh, if you pay enough, I'll show you the inside to make it all work, No, this is me, this is how it is, and this is how I am. And for me, the beauty has been to mix with other people and to share, even if someone's on the first steps along the road, that encouragement for them to carry on, given that I've been 25 years now in the field and I'm just loving it. And I just, every day I get up and I can't wait to learn more and do more. And I know that that's a self-evolutionary thing that started with what's a tag question or what's an anchor, and it moved so far past that. That all that stuff's important, it really is. But you either develop an attitude and an orientation, or you learn loads of lists of techniques. And I know which I prefer.
Yeah.
Because you can know loads of techniques and not do any of them particularly. I mean, I've met people like that. But by committing to the conference and to the NLP organization and sharing what you've got, then you're helping the field. And that's what we're here to do, to help the field. Like I said, to become more accountable and professional as time goes by. I think that's super important because we're kind of regulated or we're self-regulating.
Yeah.
And we need to hold ourselves highly to that so that we, remain free and continue to grow and develop the field.
Yeah.
And also the second thing, which I left out before, so I know all the judges are wondering what the second thing was to grow and change inside myself and to develop myself and to take that out and to have the confidence in myself to share that and find out what feedback comes back from that, so that I learn how to put things out in a clearer and simple way. And that's what it comes down to for me. I'm trying to make this world, not even trying, let's just take that word and throw it away. One of my intentions, that was a live edit, is to make the world a simpler place to be in.
Yeah.
To make the experience of being simpler. It's not hard, it's not complicated, And once people can get to the basics of simplicity, then that's what it is. So sure, we can use the big professional words that we use for Milton, for example, but then there's the processes behind that which are interesting, and then behind that is an experience which is before any of that came in the first place, and that's been there as long as we've been around.
Yeah,
possibly.
absolutely.
Thank you, so
Mark. Wow. Thank you. So yes, just to remind people watching this, Marc McDermott is presenting at the NLP conference on Saturday the 23rd, Saturday the 21st of May at 15:30 BST, because we will be in summertime by then. And there's 3 hours of presentation, so a lovely long time to deep dive into the topic of Milton patterns as the gateway to quantum consciousness. So thank you, Mark, for your time today. Really appreciate being able to chat with you, and we will see you at the conference.
Certainly will, yeah.